The annual Carter family gathering was always held at Oakwood Bistro, a place with chandeliers too grand for its greasy tables. Every year, uncles boasted about new cars, aunts compared handbags, and cousins rattled off job titles like trading cards. "Still riding the subway, Daniel?" my cousin Mark called across the table, his grin carrying just the right amount of smugness. "Lease rates are good. I could set you up with a contact." I tugged at the sleeve of my Navy shirt, pretending not to notice his jab. A glimpse of polished metal on my wrist caught the light, but no one seemed to recognize it yet. "Subway is practical," Aunt Margaret chimed in, tilting her wineglass. "Though surely with your computer thing you could manage something nicer." Computer thing. That was how they described the company I'd built from scratch. They had no idea that the very watch under my cuff was rarer than any car parked outside. Dad, sitting at the far end, cleared his throat. "So, Daniel," he said, voice laced with the same doubt I'd heard since college. "You're still doing what exactly? Designing apps?" Before I could respond, the waiter slid steaming plates between us. As I reached for the soy sauce, my cuff shifted higher. This time Dad saw it. His chopsticks froze midair, clattering against his plate. "That watch!" His voice cracked. The chatter around the table went still. A hush fell. Everyone stared at me, waiting for an explanation. The air outside Oakwood Bistro felt cooler than it had inside, sharp with the scent of autumn leaves. My father followed me out while the rest lingered, gathering coats and bragging in lowered voices. He looked smaller than I remembered, his shoulders weighed down by something heavier than age. "That watch," he said again, almost whispering. "It's the same model I sold after the crash, the one I swore I'd get back someday." I pulled back my sleeve, letting him see the delicate moonphase glimmer. "I know," I replied. "I bought it at the auction last month." His eyes misted. "But why? To prove you're successful? To show me I was wrong?" "No," I said, shaking my head. "Because when I was a kid, I'd sit in your study and listen to you talk about it. You'd tell me that perfection wasn't about price. It was about craftsmanship, about patience. You lost the collection, but those lessons stuck." For a long moment, he was silent. Behind him, I could see Mark pacing on his phone, probably trying to look up the company I had casually mentioned at dinner. Aunt Margaret hovered at the doorway, pretending to check her reflection in the glass. "I thought you were chasing money," Dad finally said. "But you were chasing something else." "Precision," I answered. "The same thing you admired in these pieces. I just built it in a different form." He nodded slowly, his lips pressing together as though holding back 20 years of regret. The rest of the family eventually spilled out of the restaurant, their voices hushed but restless. Mark's eyes darted between me and his phone, as if one search result could rewrite the hierarchy of the evening. Aunt Margaret, suddenly all warmth, slipped an arm around my mother and whispered something about introducing me to her friend's daughter. I barely heard them. My attention stayed on Dad, whose gaze was fixed on the watch like it was an artifact returned from the dead. "Here," I said quietly, unbuckling the strap. "It was always meant to be yours." His hands trembled as I placed it in his palm. "I can't accept this," he murmured, voice cracking. "You can," I insisted, "because I bought two. One's in Singapore with my team. This one belongs with you." He looked at me then, not as the son who disappointed him by avoiding banking, but as someone who had finally lived the lessons he once taught. His eyes shone, and for the first time in years he smiled without restraint. Behind us, Mark muttered into his phone about algorithms disrupting the market. My other cousins were suddenly fascinated by tech stocks. None of it mattered. I had spent years building a company that didn't just trade numbers, but reshaped how markets worked. Yet in that moment, success wasn't the valuation or the jet waiting at the airport. It was seeing my father turn the watch over in his hands, whispering about craftsmanship the way he used to when I was a boy. Some victories are measured in billions. Others in the look on your father's face when he realizes you've carried his dream further than he ever could.